Hey, little technical difficulty there. Before we get started, everybody watches the show regularly knows I wasn't there Wednesday. Paul talked about I'm having some health issues, and I got a ton of messages from people. So I just want to tell everybody thank you for that. I'm not out of the woods yet. I'm doing better. I'm home, not in the hospital anymore. So things are good, and things couldn't be better when that just happened. That just happened. When before the year, people were talking about Maryland winning 2 or 3 games. A lot of people around the country were projecting them to even lose against Northern Illinois. I myself had them at 4 wins, 4-8. I don't know what your prediction was. I'm not sure if you made one or made one publicly, but the whole season's different now.
Yeah, certainly. I was right around that 6-win total. It seemed like a team and a schedule that kind of favored the ability to bounce back. So a 4-0 start's obviously great. I think this is probably the first game where nobody in the preseason or maybe even the first few weeks expected Maryland to pull something like this off. So definitely something that helps those with a positive outlook.
And one of the biggest stories has got to be the defense. My God. I posted in the game thread, give Ted Monachino a raise. Wow. They dominated.
Yeah, and it's almost entirely young and transfers players as well. Cam Rice made a huge difference. Zahir Mathis with a block punt, Messiah Delholm, or Mathis with the block field goal, Messiah Delholm with the block punt. Just making a difference. Defense, special team. It's helpful for a transfer or a true freshman quarterback. Someone who's new there in a system to have a defense and a special teams that are able to help keep things going, even when you start off a little slow or you make some mistakes. Guys make some drops, but it allows a base, a foundation for the team to take off.
It's really good, really good. Malik, awesome again. No interceptions, only one that almost kind of could have been. And his numbers look kind of average or like above average. But you take, how many drops were there? 6?
Yeah.
6, I think. One of them, I think you could maybe pin on Malik because he gunned it at Farouk and he did drop it. Maybe that would have been a really good catch. But the other 5, he hit them in the hands. You add those 5 to his numbers, and his completion percentage is in the 60s, maybe even up to 70. He's got another 50, 75 yards. He's got maybe another touchdown, and this has happened multiple times throughout the year. He's got to be. I make the joke all the time. I keep talking about how Malik is better than Bryce Underwood, but he's right now. You add all that stuff in, he's looking amazing as a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, finishes 18 of 34, like you said. If you add those 6 drops, that's right about 70%. 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 137.8 rating. I mean, if you kind of factor the drops in, a 24 of 34 for about 300, 2 or 3 touchdowns. I mean, you really can't ask for much more at the quarterback position. And those are the kind of numbers that anybody would be happy with. Wisconsin combined for 22 of 35 for 235 with a touchdown and interception. So, they were able to complete more passes, but they didn't necessarily get as much out of it, and their QBs were kind of running for their lives there. So the defense once again helped kind of shift the narrative, and the offensive line play has also really improved. So that's also helped Malik, be able to stay calm and composed and kind of operate.
And another thought that I kind of have I'm just kind of blurting out. We don't have an agenda. We did this last minute. There was a thread on the board. Jeff and Paul couldn't be here. Paul's not in a position to be able to do it. Jeff's got to write. So that's why we kind of threw this together last minute. So thank everybody for joining. I think Jeff's going to be posting a link soon and everything. Oh, Jeff retweeted it. Okay. So I think we'll start getting a bunch of people here. The running game actually looked kind of okay. It's not what you want yet, but when you consider how they looked against the 3 subpar teams that they played, the 3 poor teams, you're thinking, God, they're just going to get stuffed. But they had a number of runs throughout the game, and particularly on that last drive. when they shut the game down, they had a number of runs that were actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean Maryland's, it's one of those things where the Wisconsins, the Iowas, the Minnesotas, the Nebraskas, these are teams where Maryland's not expected to control the line of scrimmage. They didn't necessarily have to pound the ball. They didn't have to lean on the running game. But like you said, kind of later when they're killing clock, they're able to get some push, get those 3 or 4 yards. If in theory, if you can just run the ball for 4 yards every play, you'll run right down the field and score in a methodical way. So, being able to put those numbers forward and just get anything going in the rushing game is definitely positive.
Really good. I was really worried about the being able to run the ball and also being able to stop the run. And the defense, that was dominating. Against Wisconsin, who are known to be, I guess under Luke Fickell, things are different. He's kind of changed their culture and everything. So I guess you can't really talk about how they're known to be that dominant running game anymore. But still, it's the big West team that's got the huge offensive linemen that just grind you down, and that did not happen. The defense, the front seven, the entire front seven, look, there's 7 or 8 players on that defense that are really good at their positions.
And I want to say there were a few times where Maryland got pressure, even just rushing 3. So, there's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily come to the defense, needing to, blitz versus coverage. They had some coverage sacks as well. But they're able to get pressure with just a limited number of guys, which is intriguing.
Really good, and the secondary looked great. Jamari Glasker with that huge interception set the tone early on, but he gets that in part because of the pressure that the line was given to. I guess it was Dan. Did Danny throw that, or it was after Billy came out, right?
Yeah. I mean, just enough pressure forcing him. He thought he had a guy open, just kind of lobbed it, way up in the air, kind of an arm punt. So just tons of pressure and good coverage as well on the back end.
Everybody keep throwing your comments. I'm going to get to them. We're just kind of, I don't know, brainstorming, just throwing stuff out here, throwing stuff against the wall. First, we'll get to the comments, everything. Also, Harrison's going to join us too. He's doing the post-game show with Loxley right now. It's going to be interesting when he comes. We'll ask him what Lox said. They've got to be feeling good right now. The vibes around the team and the fan base. It feels good, really good. I can't remember feeling like this in a while, because it's partially because they had the 2-8-5 seasons, and it was like, okay, and that was kind of like what people were kind of hoping for that it was going to be. But this feels like a changing of the guard in the way. There's so many freshmen and redshirt freshmen and sophomores that are dominating. This feels like, man, maybe they've got something here for real. Like if they can get the money and keep them together, maybe they've got something here over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, with Talia, it was one of those things where it's like Loxley picked his quarterback. He got his pick of a quarterback out of the portal, knew what he was getting. He was expected to be a star. And it was almost kind of like, well, why couldn't we do more? Maryland obviously would run the table in non-conference play, beat up who they were supposed to beat up, but they never took that next step, even with Lee at quarterback coming. I mean, it's kind of different this year. A young team with some transfers, true freshman quarterback, a lot of people with questions on, what they should expect out of this team. And they've shown out, Malik's been the real deal. The freshman on defense and a ton of different playmakers. Shalik not stepping up once again. Now he's had 5 touchdowns in 4 games this year. So it's just, people stepping up when they weren't necessarily expected to kind of changes how you look at the program as a whole.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats. I'm taking Malik out of it. 19 rushes for 73 yards. That's still not lighting the world on fire, but it was a step up in competition, and they didn't run it that much. The average is okay. It's under 4, but it's not as bad as I was worried about. It's not as bad.
Yeah. I mean, Lox always talks about being balanced, but being balanced in that aspect doesn't mean rushing for the same amount of yards as you throw. Obviously, that's not going to happen. A quarterback like Malik is in there to throw the ball. And in theory, you should be able to throw the ball for a lot more than you rush for. So it's more about just keeping the defenses honest. And I think even, in a game like today where Malik's, arm was kind of making the difference, a few of those rushes late kind of opened the door for Knox to get open over the top. And that balance has kind of paid off. You probably hope for a little bit more on the rushing side statistically.
Right.
But, they're doing a good enough job of keeping defenses honest.
And I've heard him say also, and other coaches talk about this too, being balanced doesn't mean exactly what you said. It means being able to do what you need when you need to do it. Right. So, and they certainly were able to do that. I'm looking at some of the other stats here. Special teams. I mean, hey, first, okay, the 2 blocks, obviously, those are game changers. Both of those blocks are huge game changers. But even besides that, you've got Sean O'Hare kicking a 49-yard field goal. How good does that feel after last year not even being able to kick 35-yarders, it felt like. And then you got Bryce McPherson. He's awesome. He pinned them back a bunch of times and deep punts. And I know they did return one at the start of the second quarter. That was a little scary. But for the most part, their coverage was really good on the kickoffs and everything too. Special teams was great.
Yeah. I mean, having a kicker and a punter who can, make their field goals and pin teams back, flip the field, that's another aspect of things, ways that the team can help, a young quarterback, make a difference and kind of keep things, going in a positive direction. So, McPherson, I mean, Maryland's absolutely hit home runs on both ends of those out of the portal.
Really, really have. The last thing I'll say, I wanted to ask you how we kind of said, you said at the beginning of the year, you kind of had them around 6 wins. What's your new projection? Because I was at 4 and I'm 6 or 7 now. I'm not going more than that yet. Remember the whole September Maryland thing?
Yeah.
It's still September. They've got the bye. They've got a lot of tough games coming up. I think bowl game now is going to happen. I'm at 6 or 7 now.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of around 6. You have the bye, and then you obviously have Washington coming out of the bye. Not necessarily a great team, a team that's coming, all the way east. An opportunity for Maryland to kind of break that, loss out of the bye curse there. Nebraska's look good. Obviously they have a lot of talent, really good quarterback.
Right.
But then Maryland also has that at home, and then they go to UCLA. So, I mean, in theory, 8-0 could be on the table. Obviously, things happen and whatnot, but the possibility is there that Maryland could be favored at least in 2 or 3 of those games.
Don't even forget they get to 8-0. The game after that, don't they have a bye after that, and then they host Indiana after a bye?
Yep.
9-0 is on the table, and isn't Rutgers after that?
Yep.
10. We're going 10-0. West called it right now. 10-0. And then by then, of course, you're favored over Michigan at home. So 11-0, and then you're playing at Michigan State. They're winning the Big Ten. Here we go. We just figured out the path. There we go. We just did it. All right, let me go to Harrison's going to come in. I can't wait till he comes in. I want to ask him. He was at the presser. He's going to give us some of the quotes from Loxley at the presser. Very excited for that. Let's go into some of the comments here. JM, man, what a team. That D is legit. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. 4 games and only 1 sack. Yes, huge for a team where we're worried about the offensive line. The pass blocking seems really good. The run blocking, they're just not. They're not getting holes, or they're not scheming it well. I'm not sure what it is, but the run blocking is very different than the pass blocking. Agreed on that?
Yeah. I think it's also a difference between what Maryland's been used to in Leah, Billy. They had that instinct of, as soon as there's pressure, running around the outside and trying to get loose. Malik is confident enough that he steps up in the pocket, which allows obviously you have more comfort when you step up. And the offensive line is built to go around the quarterback. So Malik's confidence in stepping up, allows them to keep some of those numbers down. And I mean, a lot of those runs seem to be just an arm getting around. So just trying to keep defenders in, or just bumping into the linemen. So there's some spacing stuff they could probably work on. But I mean, as a whole, you can't really ask for much more from an offensive line.
Agreed. Brody Thompson, go Terps 4-0. Yes, sir. Paul Anthony Moss, watching that game, Terps looked like they had multiple future NFL players flying around on both sides of the ball, especially front seven to D. Yeah, of course. And Husky, we were just saying that to kind of kick off. It's one of the things we said, the front seven just dominating. And Wisconsin, they have problems. Alabama dominated them well, but Alabama dominated them, and so did Maryland. So you're in good company with that one there. Agreed. Okay, Mr. Popo. Okay, start over. I'm here. Yeah. He's Mr. Popo, one of our favorites. He's always here. Greg Walks, what Malik has done as a true freshman is remarkable. Yes, it is, Mr. Popo. How many star wide receivers is Maryland getting out of the portal? That's going to be a big deal. I'm not ready to think about that yet. I'm very much enjoying this season, and it is what it is with the receivers right now. But yeah, that's going to be something they're going to have to address, and some more offensive linemen as well in the portal. Scott,
and I mean, you also think, Jeff's mentioned as well, showing this foundation here with strong, youth playing, that helps when you're out on the road recruiting, showing, these young players do step into roles. It's not just, you have to be a 5-star in order to get on the field. You can earn positions, but guys will want to come to a team that is, successful or making a jump up from where they normally are. So, Malik Washington, being a true freshman quarterback, and you can kind of keep this path going, people will want to play with them. Maryland's not going to be a team that has to drop an insane bag to try and get a receiver just to come because, well, why would I want to go there other than, what financially you could provide me? Guys will come here knowing that, a quarterback can get me the ball. They're a team that's put guys in the league. And tons of those other aspects are kind of in their favor.
Right. Here we go. This is a funny one from RM Cooper. Can Paul pick Washington 27-10 next game too? Mm-hmm. So Paul and I both picked Wisconsin to win. I said 23-13 Wisconsin. I was just worried it was going to be one of those typical Big West games where they grinded Maryland down. And part of the comment I made in my prediction was that if Maryland could get some of the fluky plays, like +2 in the fluky play category, they could win. Well, they were more than +2 in the fluky play category, and they just absolutely dominated. And it wasn't just because of the fluky plays. They dominated. The defense absolutely dominated. Wisconsin could do nothing. So, And let's give credit to Mr. Jeffrey Ehrman. He's the only one out of all of us on the show who picked Maryland to win. We'll give him the credit for that.
Paul on Wednesday was very adamant that he will eat his crow again this upcoming Wednesday when he hops on the show for saying that Wisconsin's going to win. It's going to be way more than whatever the spread is, 10.5. I think it was at that point. So I mean I thought Maryland would at least cover, like you said. I thought they were a good team, could maybe make some mistakes, and that could be the difference between winning and losing. But I definitely didn't see Paul's vision of a 17-point loss.
Yeah, I had a 10-point, which was right around the spread. So, all right, Mr. Popo, I said it in every prediction post. I'll say it again. This team is bowling. I think you're right. I agree with you now. I think they find a way to go at least 2-6 in their final 8. I do agree with you there. And could get 3. Could they get 4? Oh, could they get to 8-4 in the regular season? I can't go there yet. I haven't done my new percentages yet. I want to see how everybody does. I'm watching Michigan, Nebraska right now. Nebraska looks like they might be about to kick a field goal here. So it's 0-0. Get 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. I'm excited for Indiana, Illinois too. Wow, what a game that's good. I'm excited for both those games. All right, Seftical, welcome back, Larry. Thank you, my friend. Thank you to everybody who's been writing me the messages. Greg Walks. I think the difference in the run game this game is that Maryland really ran outside of the tackles as opposed to through the interior of the offensive line during the first 3 games. There was more of that, and that is when they had their biggest runs. So maybe continue to evolve that way.
Yeah, Pep today did a good job of not leaving Malik. I feel like in the first 3 games he used way too much under center. Obviously, that's part of the team being vanilla, leaving some stuff out out of the playbooks that you can use it in Big Ten play, and it's not necessarily on film. But yeah, I mean, the offensive line is good enough to, hold, make a push, and whatnot. And, just being able to get guys on the outside, Maryland's obviously one of those teams who they're going to benefit from the athleticism of the team. Their running backs are good, get them out in space. They don't have to just rely on screen passes and running the ball up the middle. You can really get the ball, to your running backs and just let them go over the edge. That can get you those 4, 5, 6 yards you need to have a solid running game.
Agreed. Skeptical September Terps are a wagon we already talked about. That's why I'm not going too crazy with my predictions yet. We've seen it before. We've seen Maryland do this before, so we'll see. The game. Every game now is a prove it to me game. Okay, they won the first 3, of course. Okay, now let's see what they do in Big Ten plays, particularly on the road. Will they pass that test with flying colors? Let's see. Now the next thing is, can they win after a bye? They got a lot of things in their favor. Washington coming cross country. They're after a bye. I had that game already at about 40% for Maryland. I'm just off the top of my head right now. I might bump it to 45-50 based off of today. We'll see. Washington is good. Damon Williams is good. Jonah. Jonah. What's the running back? Is it Jonah Williams? Is that his name?
I think so.
Yeah, he's good too. They are good, so it's going to be tough. Anyway, okay. Let's see. Mr. Popo, imagine this D with Zion Ely. Yeah, that's going to be interesting next year. Eddie G, LFG. I will not spell say out that acronym. I do not want to bring on any issues for that. I agree though. LFG. Look how many hits and pressures they had from Jam. Look how many hits and pressures they had. Maryland didn't do that before. That's right. The defense looks, and right now it looks like the best defense Maryland's had under Loxley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like tons of people have said, this is just screaming, mid 2000s. Maryland went away from having a dominant defense and trying to find athletic players to keep up with teams and kind of make a difference there. They turned into let's just score as many points as we can, but then the defense managed to give a bunch too. But yeah, I mean, it's dominant, and it's not necessarily Brian Williams obviously had that huge stretch where he was really good at flipping games in the second half, really shutting teams down, and making adjustments, sending blitzes and getting pressures that way. But there's just something different about the athleticism and the personnel on this team, being able to generate pressure and make a difference just in just general coverage, not necessarily having to either pressure or drop back.
Right. From Terp here, last time it felt this way was when they pulled it out at Illinois at night in OT. That's a good pull. That was a good game. Last year at Nebraska felt like that a little bit. But again, I'll say it kind of feels like it feels different because there's so many young players. Mm-hmm. They're all young. Like all the best players are young. Daniel Wingate's a junior, but he's not even a senior. It feels like if they can keep this team together, they can get Loxley can pull his flip special, maybe get that lineman from Virginia Tech. All of a sudden, the recruiting class is back up in the 30s range. They get a good portal class to come in as well. Man, they could be real good next year. Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like right now. We'll see the rest of the year. September, mm-hmm. Maryland. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, you also don't forget, Zahir Mathis was a guy who, was kind of pinned there to go to Ohio State, but ended up being a guy who fell all the way to the February class, and Maryland kind of scooped him up there at the last minute. So, Loxley's put in the work, and they've been able to scout these guys and bring in the right guys to make a difference. But yeah, it's obviously a different era in college football. You have to worry about, keeping a team together. Like, imagine if Loxley was able to get this kind of team in 2018, where everyone is, these guys would inevitably be here for 4 years, no matter what happens. So, obviously it's a different era, so you have to kind of, deal with that at the end of the season when it comes up. But I mean, if they're able to keep these guys together, I mean, the sky's the limit for growth.
But also in 2018, they might not have that class because other people are paying them under the table. Mm-hmm. And now Loxley's got a little bit of ammo to fight with, right? So maybe they don't have the class. So maybe this new paradigm is okay for Maryland after all. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. Denver Dave, special teams were key today. Yes, agreed. We talked about that. Seftical, Zahir is a monster. So many of the freshmen. Zahir, obviously, Sidney Stewart,
Mm-hmm.
man, that guy. Wow. Freshman All American. You got to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a freshman All American team right now, you might have Zahir and Stewart and Malik on it.
Yeah.
Well, there's that quarterback at Cal, the freshman
Mm-hmm.
quarterback at Cal is doing really well. I forget his name, Sanga Politele, something like that. Doing really well. Let's see, both blocks by freshmen. That's a good point as well. That was totally kick catch interference. Refs, yes, that was an awful call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't really get that. I mean, kind of the targeting too. He hit. I thought it was pretty clear he hit him with the face mask. He wasn't crowning the helmet. I mean, obviously it was a little high, but yeah, that punt one didn't make any sense. I guess they thought he reached backwards and maybe hit it with his right hand, and then the announcers were saying that Ricardo Cooper who was blocking the guy hit it somehow. But I was like, I didn't see it hit a Maryland player at all. And Loxley got fired up on the sideline when they made that call because he was just like, "You got to be kidding me! Like none of my guys touched it. I mean, at the very least, it's my ball."
But, and it should have been interference. And then they started on their 30. They probably should have started in Wisconsin territory because it would have been 15 yards from that spot of where the foul occurred. But the penalty. All right, let's see. All right, AF Terp, my good buddy, Tom Wentz. I say often when he joins the show and we talk about stuff, he and I are the only two people that are in the Venn diagram of hardcore college football fans and hardcore musical theater fans. The little crossover. We're the only two people in the middle of only two people in the middle of that right there. Yes. Yeah, well, I hope you're right, Tom. 8 wins this year. I'm not there yet. I can't get there yet. Okay. Oh, this is a good point. Paul Anthony Moss, Trey Reddick, and Daniel Wingate is an impressive linebacker duo for the Terps. But Reddick, my boy, stop.
Made a little bit of mistakes today.
Yes, stop with the late hits. Stop it. Look, you've got to pull up. And I know it's hard sometimes, but he did it twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Loxley and some of the coaches were kind of getting on him a little bit there, and he was getting on himself after the first one. But it's just like when the quarterback slot, like you have to have the mindset of, okay, we are up 3 scores. The quarterback is clearly not even going to get the first down. He's sliding in front of me. I don't need to go down and hit him and then put myself in a situation where Daniel Wingate's going to slam his forehead into my hip. And then he's got to go off the field because he kind of got run up a little bit. You know, it's just one of those things where there's no need. You know, you're not stopping him from sliding across the first down, even though, you know, when the quarterback gives himself up, you know, they call it there anyways. So there's just no need, but it's just the mentality of being able to know what situation you're in.
And it's got to be hard when you're just out there and you want to headhunt and your mentality is, oh, I'm going to get this guy. Right. And then you're going and all of a sudden you've got to go bop like that. But it's a skill you've got to develop. You've got to be able to do it because you can't be costing your team 15 yards like that multiple times.
Like people have said, you can legally hit people, but you got to make sure it's still legal when you're trying to lay that hit.
Field goal, Michigan. They just went up. It's 3-0 Michigan. I picked Nebraska in that game, but Michigan's doing their Michigan thing. Biff Poggi, I think is how you say his name, is coaching them today. That guy. Yeah. I watched College Game Day for the first hour, and then I flipped to Fox for the last 2 hours because it's Maryland's. It's the Big Ten's network, so I try to watch them. But I think
I saw a little bit of that clip between
the guy and
Saban.
Yeah, like Poggi or Poggi. I think they called him Biff Poggi on the show, but he was wearing like this beat up, like I don't know, half sweatshirt, and it looked like it had a a sticker on it with an M logo on it. Like it wasn't even a Michigan sweatshirt,
Mm-hmm.
but they just put a sticker on it so it had the logo for when he went on. And his hair was unkept, and he just like looked disheveled and like, dude.
It's always baffled me his like recruiting prowess, and obviously his stint down there at Charlotte. I went down and covered that Maryland Charlotte game, and obviously that game up here. He's there in the gray shirt that looks like he just went out and mowed the lawn. It's not even like an actual cutoff. I think they tried to get him more actual cutoffs or vests or something, but he's just wearing like a gray T-shirt that's got the sleeves ripped off. That he just got in from mowing the lawn. But I just, I've never understood the personality and how people, got along with that. But I mean, he's managed to find himself back there in Michigan and head coach for again.
For 2 games.
Yeah.
But we'll see if they win. I mean, more power to them, I guess.
Yeah.
They're really getting off pretty light for what they did. Although, I kind of toggle back and forth because other people are doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
Other people are doing that too. They just got caught.
Mm-hmm.
They
got caught. The people who were doing it left. So it's one of those. The NCAA didn't want to punish the athletes who didn't, have a part in it, kind of thing. But it's one of those things institutionally.
But if it had been Maryland, it'd have been a 3-year postseason ban and a reduction by 50% in scholarships. All right, here's Will Bowers, former Terp. Actually, once Terp, always Terp. Former member of the men's basketball team. Will Bowers, unhinged. There he is. Love Will Bowers. Love Will Bowers. Let's see. Also, penalties improving. Yeah, they are. They are. Oh, yeah. When we were talking about Reddick with his couple of bad penalties, there weren't many. Let me see. Can you?
It was 4 penalties for 35 yards total on Maryland.
You offer me. I will take that every game.
Yeah.
I will offer me that. I will take that every single game. Okay. Robert Fisher says he made the football team Facebook page. Congratulations, Robert. That's awesome. Let's see here. Skits and Giggles Entertainment. My son and his friends came to play today. Let's go Terps. Skits and Giggles Entertainment, is your son one of the players on the team? Is that what that means? Reply to that. Let us know if you're one of the parents from the team. Okay. Let's see. We're going to keep going. Bowling, JM Bowling in a decent game somewhere. Someone cares about. If they get to 6 wins, they're not going to any impressive game. But before the season, if you had offered any game, if you offer them Detroit, you're taking it. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is, you take it. Jackson, great win today. Yes, sir, it is. Eddie G, roll Terps. That is all. That is true. All right.
Maryland's also kind of in one of those positions, in the theoretical postseason world of, having been to New York, been in the Mayo Bowl, been to Nashville. There's not too much until you go above that and you're talking, Relic West and Tampa and Rose Bowl and things like that, or Detroit. So, I mean, Maryland's also going to kind of have to deal with what they're dealt regardless. But at least, 4-0, they're in a spot.
I feel like this year, there's like buzz because of Malik primarily, but also the freshmen, and there's like this energy around the team, and I feel like maybe the fan base is feeling that a little too. I feel like they could sell some tickets this year, maybe.
Yeah, and I think also it'll be interesting, like we've talked about this NIL era, transfers and opt-outs and whatnot. Bowl games, when they're trying to scout out their team, I think they would put more stock in a team like Maryland, assuming Loxley is able to keep these guys together, because you're going to get Malik Washington, Sidney Stewart, Zahir Mathis, Daniel Wingate. You're going to get these guys to go play in your bowl game, compared to some of these past years where you had, Tillia sit out and other guys sit out. And then when you compare that to other teams, in terms of opt-out, so, Maryland could be a team that's, some people are looking forward to seeing in the postseason.
Jackson makes this post, and we talked about this. I know Wisconsin's OL was banged up. The front 7 is elite, but it reminds me of how bad their center was. That guy single-handedly kind of cost them the game.
Yeah, he had 2 or 3 snaps there that were
3. I think 3. One of them hit one of them over the quarterback's head.
Yeah,
they lost 20-some yards on that play.
Yeah,
and took them. They had a chance to score. there were multiple times they had a chance to score and ended up not because of, well, they missed a field goal. They had a field goal blocked. One time they got sacked for 19 yards, got pushed out of field goal range. There was that snap by the center, which could have been another one. So but you laugh at Wisconsin. Maryland didn't do that. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you give credit for Maryland for playing a clean game while their opponent wasn't. That's a huge part of winning. Yeah. You play clean.
Also, the difference is that fickle offense. They had so many. I didn't realize they had so many of these direct snaps and misdirections and whatnot. That it's got to be hard for a center to step in there. They said it was a redshirt freshman center and his second game or whatnot. Hey, so being able to snap to the running back and all that kind of stuff's got to be a bit more difficult than throwing into like a.
Don't care. Sorry. Last year, Maryland's best offensive lineman got knocked out for the year, and the offensive line stunk, and people beat up on Maryland because of it. So, sorry. Mm-hmm. Reminds me like when you're playing poker and you suck out on the river and you beat somebody, and they're like, "Oh, you fish," and you're like, "Sorry, dude. Happens to me all the time. I'm very happy that I got that. So sorry." Okay. All right. Yeah. Ryan Schammel talking about Reddick again. Going to lead the league in ejection, but hits like a Mack truck. Boy, does he. He had some hits. My God. The one, was it him or Wingate in the fourth quarter just pummeled. Who was it? Oh, no. Oh, I know what I'm thinking of. Was it on the punt? The punt, their punt returner had the long return on the one to start the second half. Mm-hmm. And then they had a punt again right after that, and he was going to run it again, and he didn't fair catch, even though he was kind of surrounded. And whoever it was just drilled him. I'm surprised he hung on the ball. But, yeah, Reddick is a truck, too. Here's our buddy AF Terp again, as predicted. Now that they've beaten a name program convincingly on the road, the goalposts are moving for the naysayers. My goalposts have moved. I was 4-6 was my range, and I called 4 before the season. I'm so happy to be wrong. My range now is, I still think 5 is possible. I hate to say that, but I would say 5 to 8 is the wide range, and more likely a 6 or a 7 is where I'm at now. Or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean the possibilities just increase exponentially. The difference between being 4-0 and 3-1, or even 2-2. Just being 4-0 at this point, especially with getting 2 buys. Now they get a bye. Theoretically, you rest up. You played this game as well as Towson without Jamar Glasgow, so you have an opportunity to add back another key piece of your defense. And like we talked about a little bit earlier, it's a favorable schedule. This isn't a year where they have Ohio State, they have Penn State, they have Oregon, they have Iowa, and all these teams coming in. So it's a favorable storm if Malik can stay healthy and the rest of the team can keep playing at this level.
Bryce Underwood ran for a touchdown. So Michigan's up 10-0 right now, and Nebraska not looking great. They played some cream puffs. Mm-hmm. They struggled against Cincinnati, who's okay. I know they're Power 4, but barely Power 4. Maybe Nebraska is looking a little more winnable, and Michigan not quite as much. I don't know. It's obviously early in the game, but I'm going to be real. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing the percentages after. I usually wait till the games are over on Saturday. I watch as many Big Ten teams as I can. I obviously read up and watch highlights and check out the stats and scores. And then I make my predictions for percentages, projections. But then tomorrow, all the analytics sites come out with their stuff. I cannot wait for that. I think they're going to have Maryland in the 7.5 range. Mm-hmm. Because just for one thing, they all had Maryland at about 30% to win this game. So they're going to get 0.7 wins just from winning this game. And they were already around the 6s. So they're going to jump, and then they're going to get a bump in all the other games based on how they paid today. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. Okay, where were we, Mr. Popo? Hit like, or else Sydney Stewart will sack you. Yes, everybody, please hit like. If you're watching, hit like. Please subscribe, do all those things, hit the bell. There's also a way where you can hype the post. You can hype. I wanted to figure that out, and I can't figure that out now. I can't. There's a way to do that anyway. All right. Okay. Greg walks with such a good feeling to see Camp Randall emptying out in the fourth quarter. Their stadium looked like our stadium. Well, you ended it with a little bit of a self burn there, but yeah, that's true. You know what? It's kind of reminded me. The third quarter, they tried really hard to bring it back. The team came out and they're trying to pump up the crowd, and the crowd wanted to get into it. If they could have gotten that one big player getting a touch, you might have seen it happen. It was the battle of the bulge, right? That third quarter, and Maryland withstood that attack. They bulged, they bent,
Yeah.
they bent. That was a rough third quarter, but they didn't give up. They only gave up the 3 points. They took it and then fought back in the fourth and dominated and won it. All right. All the receivers are seniors. Yes, that's in reference to us earlier talking about how they're going to have to get receivers in the portal next year. The 3 main starters are for sure. And then who else is contributing that's not a senior? I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Knotts, Smith, Farouk. Oh, is I'm drawing a blank. The transfer from Webb. Is he? What is he? I'm trying to remember right now.
They have him as a redshirt junior, so he should, in theory, be back.
Okay. He's not dominating, so you're not sure he's going to come back and be your number 1. You're probably going to have to get a number 1 and a number 2 in the portal next year. Right. Okay. Okay. Why did Locke say Malik didn't have a good game immediately afterward? Well, there were a couple throws he missed, but I kind of agree with that. If you take out the drops or if you add those back into his numbers look really good. Really good. I agree. If Locke said that, I didn't hear him say that because I was quickly trying to set everything
He obviously missed some reads, like even the announcers mentioned, like that Shalik touchdown at the end of the half. That probably could have been there. There's some small things, like some people have mentioned, how he always rolls out. He's, it's probably a good thing for Maryland fans in the program that Malik is a guy who knows to throw the ball away and throws it away, not like Talia in a way where nobody will catch the ball that he throws it away. But there are times where he could probably just cut back and either hit someone across the middle or cut back and just get 5 yards. He can help himself a little bit more, but that's just being a true freshman. He probably the way Locke's framed it, he can probably play a better game than he played today. But for the standard and the result, you definitely take it every time.
Yeah. So he missed some reads, but I'll also say he's very poised. He pre-snap, he's changing the play at the line of scrimmage. That's hard to do. And he's a freshman in his 4th game doing that and doing it effectively because he hasn't had very many plays where you go, oh God, what was that out of him? Right? He's making a lot of the right plays. And the one thing I'll say about that half ending play, someone posted this in the game thread and I kind of agree with it. They drilled into him. You step back and you throw it within 2 seconds. And that play he had to run across field. It probably took more than 2 seconds to materialize. So that's probably why. If they had 10 seconds left, I wonder maybe he makes that read and he gets the touchdown.
Yeah.
But with 7 seconds, that's probably one where there's extenuating circumstances where you say, okay, he had to throw it either touchdown or get it out immediately. So that one I'm going to give a pass for him on that one. Let's see here.
And also, Malik kind of benefited from running a similar offense to Maryland in high school. So, 4 games into his Maryland career, but he's got 4 years of at least baseline experience operating a system.
Well, good.
So
good. Tom and Larry headed downtown soon to see Damn Yankees. That is a musical for those of you who Or not
I
like
just
Tom and Madison.
I just managed to see the ads for that yesterday in the Metro.
You saw ads for it? Yeah. Whatever Lola Wants is the most famous song from that show. There you go for you musical theater nerds, all two of us. All right. Oh, they're talking about Biff. I was talking about how weird Biff looked, and Biff is so fat his blood consists of mayonnaise. And also, Mr. Popo, Biff eats his sleeves for sustenance. It's really weird. Him and Belichick do the same thing where they do the cut off sleeves, but he looks somehow manages to look even more disheveled than Belichick does. All right, okay. Let's go. Tony Jernigan. I did that last time too. Tommy Jernigan was a player who played for Florida State. Tony Jernigan the second. Oh, we get a post game show. I'm spoiled. Yes, sir. Tony Jernigan. Larry, glad you're healthy, brother. Thank you, Tony. Let's see. And Alex, BSN Alex, really glad to see Lawrence. Thank you. All right. Hey, we were talking about the penalties, JM, and none of them were false starts. Huge. No. Were there any pre-snap? Were there offsides?
No, like illegal formations or false starts or
offsides
like
from the defense. Like none of that. Man, I'll take that. 4 penalties, 35 yards. And even though 2 of them, you talk to Reddick and say, God, you got to calm yourself down. But at the same time, you love where he's coming from with what's causing that. You that sometimes comes with that attitude, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tony Jernigan. Knott's, what a career turnaround. Let me say, I love this guy. I talk about it on the show all the time. I'm kind of notorious for talking about the sadness I feel about the player movement and everything. Because I just remember for years and years and years up until the last 5-ish and a little bit more, people started transferring more. But you see a player come in and they may struggle, maybe, but you watch them grow for 4 years and you go through that with them and you kind of you develop a bond with the players that way. And it's all the sports, basketball and football. And Shalik Knott's is the perfect example of that. That guy could have transferred and should have. 99% of the people would have in his situation where he comes in as a 4-star, isn't getting any playing time, is struggling. And now he's finally getting his turn, and I like in some ways he's my favorite player on the team because of that. Obviously, Malik and Sidney Stewart and Zahir Mathis, I'm loving those, and and Wingate, like I'm loving those guys, of course. But in some ways, that makes him my favorite player. I love. I feel the bond with him. It feels so gratifying to go through that with him for 4 years and to see now him to be succeeding.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great story, and obviously Maryland put a bunch into that this week. Obviously, all the praise Locks gave in after the Towson game, and they did the little video episode this week, kind of off the back of what it's like to go through hard times and bounce back. But it's even nicer to see him continue to take that step. Obviously, a lot of stories like that, it's the right time to post a story like that because you don't know what's going to happen. But 2 more touchdowns today. He might be putting himself on the radar for something at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I don't know if he's NFL quite yet, but remember, I made the comparison to Amba Edatawa. Do you remember him? Yeah, how for 3 years he didn't do anything. Unfortunately, he transferred to Syracuse before he had his senior year blow up, but it kind of reminds me of that in a way, and Ty Felton in a way, because Ty Felton wasn't an NFL caliber prospect for the first 3 years of his career, and then last year went crazy. So it does happen. So there you go. Greg Walks, I believe the Big has an affiliation with the Vegas Bowl this year. Just saying. Well, a lot of us are headed out to Vegas already. For Thanksgiving week for the basketball team. So what do you say we do it twice?
Yeah, you gotta go back and get more slips to cash in.
I wonder if the Vegas Bowl wouldn't take Maryland because of that. Because if the fan base has been to Vegas, there's going to be less desire to go back a second time, right? Like, that could be a factor, actually, don't you think? Yeah. So 2 people talking about Neo Avery. hurt again. Was he hurt again? Do you know, Wes?
I didn't see anything. I saw he was getting some run later in the game. They also didn't play him, a ton against Towson. Seems like he's still getting back into the swing of things, so they're just kind of giving him some time there with depth pieces. So I didn't see anything there at the end, but obviously he's a guy who's still building back up.
What about Harris? What's up with that? Like, wasn't he going to be? Am I saying the wrong name here?
Michael Harris.
Yeah, Michael Harris. That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's played some, but I mean Carlton Smith, Trey Reddick, a lot of those guys have stepped into those roles, So I saw him out there today, so I don't know if there's anything injury related, but I mean I guess it's a good problem when you expect guys to be a lock for a certain position and they're getting pushed there.
Yeah. Okay. There's some comments about Michigan and Nebraska, right? So here's talking about it helps not having Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State on the schedule. Yeah, it does. Those are the seemingly big three this year, but Indiana and Illinois both look really good, and they do have them. So they do have those guys. Those are going to be tough games. They're good teams. Those are going to be tough games, and obviously Michigan as well. Let's see, it's still 10-0. And Nebraska's got the ball. It looks like they're in Michigan territory. Maybe they're trying to put up a little fight there. Front seven. Okay, so front seven from Tony Jernigan again. Front seven last year had size. Front seven this year has the size and tenacity, and a lot of it oozes off Sidney Stewart. It's not just him. Daniel Wingate and Zahir Mathis, all three of them are. And Reddick,
even Cam Rice on that sack, chasing him down. There's just it was just another level of there was one play there where the backup quarterback was he got out of a few different tackles, but every time he seemed to be like, okay, I managed to dodge that. There was another guy right there. And in past years, maybe Maryland only has that one chance to get a sack and the quarterback gets loose. But this year they've got that third, fourth, fifth wave of guys willing to jump in and make a stop.
Yes. Paul Anthony Moss. This is a good point, really good point to bring up. I'd forgotten about that. The 99-yard drive in fourth to put the stake in Wisconsin's heart was impressive. In the past, on road big games, backed up at the 1 yard line, you'd almost expect an implosion mistake. Yeah,
Malik was close. He was very close to being in the grasp there in the end zone, but he managed to get that ball out to DeJuan Williams for the first down.
Got to give him the credit. Yeah. He made the play. That is a huge play, and it was just 10 yards or 11, whatever it was. They got just over first down. That's not the play they're going to show in the highlights. They're going to show the bomb, of course, and a couple of the other deep passes that they made. But that play, man, if you weren't excited about Malik before, you've got to be. That drive, that's the kind of stuff, exactly as Paul Anthony Moss said, that is not a kind of drive Maryland's made in the past. And
I mean, even that play specifically, the catch aside, I almost said, even if DeJuan Williams drops that pass, getting out of the pressure, releasing the ball, putting in the catchable position, Malik's definitely got some tools there that Maryland hasn't had in a number of its quarterbacks.
Yes. Here we go. Our boy Matt Moderno. A quick reminder, everybody watch what Matt's doing with the Fear the Turtle podcast. I call it our sister podcast. He is crushing it. They're very basketball focused, and they get really deep in the weeds on the stats and the strategies and looking into the players and projections. Like if you're a basketball nerd, you're going to love that show. Our boy Matt is crushing it, and he says, love seeing Knots get a chance to shine like this. I'm not sure if that was in response to what I said, but I will say to you, Matt, it is about time you started watching football, my friend. When I later in the year I'm going to start going to games again. You've got to come. I want you to come to the game with me. All right. Let's see here. Defense is going to give Maryland at least an 8-4 record. At least 8-4. At least 8-4. Yeah. Octavian is too similar to Knots. Yeah, they both are having good senior years. That's true. Octavian Smith as well is having a really good senior year. Think Harris may be in the doghouse. Do you know anything about that?
Nothing specifically. I mean, I can go and look back and try and find some stuff. Someone mentioned about he knows his role and it's on special teams. But I mean, I definitely saw him out there on defense at least. But there's tons of playmakers, so Maryland's not necessarily losing much with him on special teams.
Yeah, I don't. But Locks is he's so secretive, right? He doesn't let people come to practices, and he doesn't tell people about injuries and who's going to start. Oh, you'll find out on the first down or at 12 o'clock on game one, right? Like he's so secretive about all that stuff. You wonder if something happened, but he just is not saying it, right? Like, But also Maryland lost some other guys in their front seven this past year who, had they been on the team right now, they might not be getting run either because the young guys are so good. Maybe it's just that. Maybe they're just better.
Yeah. I mean, you think about Wingate, Barham, the amount of talent Maryland could have if, this was still college football where you were at the same school for 4 years, barring, an extenuating circumstance, that this defense would be probably one of the best in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. But you would like maybe to have them as backups because depth is always a problem for Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So if they had stayed they'd be unhappy about not starting, unhappy about not getting money. Locks has made many references to that, how Locks clearly made a decision to spend money on the young guys to bring in this young class. And he says he lost the team. Those older guys are the ones who felt like they should be getting the money, getting paid more. Well, with each passing game, it's looking like Locks made the right decision about that stuff. So we have our Twitch spammer back. It's always hilarious to me when the Twitch spammer comes in because we have zero. I can see exactly how many people are watching from each platform. Zero. There's nobody watching on Twitch. I set it up because I tried to set it up on as many platforms as I can. Yeah. So good luck with that, buddy. Good luck with that. Oh, this is, and kind of to further the point, shout out to the guys who transferred out to ride the pine for other schools. So, yeah. Right. Okay. Here, Cam rushed from a 5 technique. Is that on the specific play that he's talking about?
Or I think so.
Okay. On the sack, that huge sack. That's so hilarious because he's a big dude and he's not fat. And that play, it took a really long time for him to kind of at first I didn't think he was going to get him. I thought Danny O'Neal was going to get out of it and run around him. But then he kept inching closer and closer. I'm like, yes! The 20-yard loss. It's almost kind of like when a lineman picks up a fumble or gets it somehow a deflected interception, and they're running and they're like, oh, you're like, go. It's kind of like that in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I'll also say, it was interesting. Obviously, at halftime, Harrison mentioned this a little bit in his gamer, but Maryland's kind of slammed the door on Luke Fickell and Wisconsin. Fire Fickell was raining out there, and they were booing the team in the locker room. I mean, I also wonder, Loxley with what he's dealt with over the last few years here at Maryland, how that had to have felt for him. Going to the locker room with a 20-0 lead, knowing we're putting these guys away. This used to be what I kind of had to deal with a little bit. Even still a little bit to this point, but I'm sure it had to feel good, knowing that he was really putting it into a program like that.
I did a season prediction show back in, I remember when it was, and I talked about Wisconsin, and my prediction for them was not good. And I predicted Fickle's going to get fired, and that's happening. Their schedule, they're 2-2 right now. They could be 2-10. They could be 2-10. It's brutal. And they've got every ranked team, and then of the non-ranked teams, it's like they're playing the solid ones, like Washington on the road. Like it's going to be. Bryce, it's 10. Michigan's up 10-3 now, and Bryce Underwood just got sacked. So I think Nebraska's putting up a little fight there. Let's see. Have any other comments? So Michael Wheatley says, "Go Terps. Remember over the winter when you guys laughed about my predictions saying the Terps would be good. I do not remember that, but congratulations. We're all very happy that you were right. No one is wrong about that. And by the way, what does good mean? What does good mean? I'm still not going above 6 or 7 wins right now. We'll see what my percentages say after all the games are over today. I'm going to go through, do my percentages. I'm going to be somewhere. My percentages are probably going to say somewhere on 7 because they're already around 6. So, and this win, obviously, we'll see. JM also to keep in mind for next season, it's now officially just one window for transfer portal. He's talking about that's true. The new transfer portal. Yeah, we'll see how much money is Maryland going to have. There's a lot of excitement right now. Jim Smith said on the show, did you watch the show? Yeah. When he said, I will have NIL figured out. Mm-hmm. Mr. Smith, get it figured out. Keep this team together. There's something burgeoning here. There could be a change happening, right?
Yeah. Could be. I mean, Locks also, people will overlook the fact that recruiting is still about relationships. There's money involved, but like Jeff's mentioned a little bit, guys are going places where they want to be and playing for coaches they want to play with, not necessarily just for an amount of money. So there are some programs where that happens, where every year you're going to be worried about everybody jumping ship at the the next big payday. But I feel like Locks has enough of a graft on these guys where as long as he's in charge next year, Maryland's not necessarily going to have to worry too much about how to pay everybody the most.
Okay, I think maybe we've covered it all now. I don't know where Harrison is. I was hoping he'd have jumped on earlier. Who knows? Maybe the press conference is going long. I'm sure there's going to be write-ups about this anyway for everybody who's on the premium message board. If you're not, get on there. Get yourself a premium membership. These guys are killing it with their articles, all their insight into recruiting, right? So, okay. I think that's going to do it for now. We went through the comments. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on spontaneously like this. We weren't planning on doing it, but there was a groundswell, and especially after such a huge win like that, it's really fun to get on and just celebrate with everybody. I kind of want to. One of the things I always do after games like this is to go read the game thread from the other board, because you get to kind of relive it a little bit. And
Wisconsin's already got hot boards going up and everything. So
they're mad. They're mad. Fickle's done. It kind of reminds me of Rich Rodriguez at Michigan. Just square peg, round hole.
I mean, like someone mentioned though, like when Wisconsin was looking for a head coach, there was no better head coach on the market.
Yeah, he was.
So it's just like you weren't going to go with another name and it somehow pan out better. They hired the guy who anyone would have hired at that window. And it hasn't panned out. It's hard when you go into a place like Wisconsin and you try and change it. Like the announcers were even saying today, just bring in someone who's willing to run the ball for 300 yards a game, and even if you're not great, as long as you do that, they'll be happy. So when you try and change it and don't succeed,
when you've got Ron Dane and Melvin Gordon and Jonathan Taylor, and 5 NFL offensive linemen. right? It's a great plan. But he came in and changed the culture, tried to change the culture and tried to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you get when you're in Wisconsin. You're not
Yeah.
in one of the recruiting hubs. So Barry Alvarez and Brett Bielema there, and Paul Chryst to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
All three of them had success doing that. You gotta that's a formula they figured out. They figured that out, and he's tried to change it. And I guarantee you they're going to go back to somebody like that after this, though. They're going to try and get back to that culture. But look at what's happening at Virginia Tech. They're going to try and they want to get back to Beamer ball so bad, right? But same kind of thing. You get the right coach, great. You don't get the right coach, All right. There we go. Yeah, okay. Last one. I love this from X Ravori Sports says QB Malik Washington was a huge upgrade over QB Billy Edwards. I agree. Another one of the transfers that went out that made room for a better player. Mm-hmm. So he's better right now. I before the years, well, he's hurt. But even still, I think he's better. I think he's a better quarterback right now.
Yeah. I would say even, equal. But equal in the terms of Billy Edwards has been in college for 4 years. Malik Washington just stepped on campus a couple months ago. So
he passes better than Billy does.
Yeah.
That's without question.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing Billy might do better is he's tough, run the ball.
Yeah.
And that, Malik might even be able to do that, but Loxley is loath to call those plays.
Yeah.
It's partial. He could be a sort of he's not going to be a Lamar Jackson type scrambler, but he
can run. He's athletic. He played on the basketball team. He can make a difference with his legs. It's just an aspect of Maryland doesn't need him to do that, and especially need him to do that right now. So it's something you can keep in the back pocket and also keep him healthy.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, I'll wrap it up again. Thanks for everybody joining. Please click like. Please hit subscribe, click the notification bell if you want to get those notifications for when we're going live. And thanks to Mr. Wesley Brown for joining at the last minute. Jeff is writing, and Paul was not in a place where he could get to a machine and do a show. And so we just threw this together last minute. So thanks for joining us, Wes. Your insight is awesome as always. And we'll be back Wednesday night to talk about this again. And it'll be bye week, so maybe we'll get into a little more basketball recruiting and stuff like that. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday night. This is IMS Radio.